Robert here. I'm a Bubble developer expert. I have been working with Bubble for a couple of years now, and I have also been using a couple of other low-code tools and AI builders. One of those being MindStudio. So I am aware that they are deprecating the embedded UI functionality that they have, and they have published this bubble template that you can use. So I'm creating this video to actually go through the steps of connecting the current template with any agent that you have built on MindStudio. And the second part of the video will be also a little bit more technical, but we will go through basic customization sample in which we are going to build a PDF uploader button so that you can attach a PDF document to the agent that you have connected to the bubble template. Okay. So first of all, let's start very simple. I'm gonna be walking through you the steps that you can do, and also mentioning some of the concepts and logic behind how Bubble interface works, right? So by this point, you should be already have created an account on Bubble. You should have already created your demo project. You can select the 14 days trial when you create your first project here on Bubble, and you should be using the template that MindStudio has provided, right? So if we go into the backend, this is what you should be seeing. This is the index page. This is the editor where we can see all the different parts that when we click preview, they are rendered this like this. Okay, couple of general knowledge tips here. First of all, we have this debugger on Bubble where you can see all the different steps and all the actions that are happening. You can run it either on normal, slow, or step by step, where you can see all the different actions and a couple of other details of what's going on. If you believe that this is obstructing you, you can actually just turn it off by modifying the URL here on the bug mode. You just need to change true to false, reload the page, and it'll be gone. Cool. You can see that now it is adjusted to take the full viewport height of your screen. Okay, so let's start from the beginning now. Okay, this is the editor. This is where you can see all the visual elements. You can change the color, any text, any styling of fonts, sizing here. You have the workflow tab where you can actually customize the actions that are happening whenever you click anything, whenever page loads, all the actions are done here. Um, you have the backend workflows. The difference between normal workflows and backend workflows is that all these actions are happening on your client side browser. So all this it's being run whenever somebody is logged in and using your app. And the backend workflows are stuff that it's being triggered and run on Bubble's servers. There are a couple of benefits on each one of those. We're going to cover them later. And then we have the data tab here where you can see the data types or the tables that you are storing and managing here on Bubble. We are going to modify a couple of fields here to support the PDF files on the second part of the video. But for now, you only need to know that you can modify all the stuff in here. You customize the fields that are available on each table on the data type, and you can actually manage the content on any of the tables here on the app data. You can see that you have all the data types that you have defined here, and in here you can see all the fields that each of the different tables have. There's also this privacy section where, very important, we're going to need to specify what are the privacy rules, what fields are visible to logged in users or non-logged in users, depending on your user case, right? So, and then we have styles. We can change the general colors. That's part of the video. We're not going to cover in detail all the styling. We're going to just focus more on the editing of the logical part of the flows here. And then we have the plugins tab where we have the API connector in which we're going to be setting up and working with the agents through the API connection from MindStudio. All right, cool. So now that we have covered like the basics of the interface and where all the options are located, let's jump into connecting our first agent. Okay, so we're gonna start simple. We're gonna just set up the first agent that it's set up here. Right now, I have connected mine, but I'm gonna start from scratch so that you can see how this works. Okay, so first of all, this is what you're going to be seeing, the MindStudio options. You can have you can set up private keys and all the connection settings at the connection level or at the call level. So you can have several calls on each connection, and all the calls are going to share all the parameters that you set up at the connection level. So in this case, the private key, it's going to be taken from the connection, and you don't need to set it up on each call that you make here. Important thing, you will need to create one new call for each different type of agent that you're going to be using. Because, and this is the key aspect here, because all the dynamic fields that we're going to be connecting from the front end, like the input fields for the text or any file uploader, we will need to customize all those fields here. So if your agent have a different number of fields, or if the name of the fields are different, you will need to configure one call for each different pattern. Right? If all of your agents have the same number of input variables and all the variables have the same name, you can use only one connection for all of your agents. We're gonna see that more in detail later on. So this is the first one that it comes with the template. I just added an emoji here. This is a tip. You can use emojis as part of the names of elements. It'll make it easier to find them on any of the workflow settings on Bubble. So I believe that it makes sense to add this type of emojis. In this case, I'm gonna just use a green check to specify the base agent connection. Oh, the base agent connection that we are using here. Okay, let me get back to it and copy it properly and paste it here. Okay. So what do we need to actually connect to MindStudio? So we need a request parameter that in this case it's actually the text that we're going to be sending as part of the agent flow. This one, we need the workflow, which is basically the name of the workflow that we're going to be calling, and then the worker ID, which is basically what agent we are connecting with, right? Apart from the API key, private key that you need to set up at the very top of it. We're going to cover that later on. Okay, so first steps first. Let's get the info of the agent that we want to connect here. So we're gonna go to MindStudio. I have this agent already created. It's as the one that they were using on the video. At the very start, we have one launch variable name called request. It's the same name that we are using here on Bubble that is set up on the template. It's this one here. Important detail to know about how Bubble works. On the JSON body editor, you actually use the brackets to specify dynamic content that will be replaced by dynamic variables whenever the workflow is run. So let's say that we actually want to have a second variable that, for instance, we're going to use on the file example. So let's say that we have a document variable, and in this case, we're going to be passing the URL of the document that we're going to be using. So it's going to be a string, a comma at the end, and in the middle, then, well, since we need it to be a dynamic variable that we can pass different document URLs when the user is running this, we're going to use brackets here and name it document. As soon as you click outside of the block editor here, you'll see how a new variable is added here, and you can make reference to it whenever you're going to be calling this connection. In this case, I'm going to just delete it to leave it as it was, and show you how we can manage it. Okay. Now we are back in here. So back to the agent. We have this request variable at the very start. We process it and we display the final answer to the user. Very simple. So to actually get the worker ID, we need to click on the agent here in details. If you scroll down, this is the worker ID or agent ID that you need to be able to call it. So let's get back here. In this case, here on Bubble, you need to initialize any API connection that you're going to be doing. This is how Bubble internally knows what type of data you are sending, and more important than that, what type of data you are getting back, and how you can work and manage with the return data. So in this case, after we set up these demo connections, we will initialize this API, and once we have done that, we can connect it to the dynamic variables coming from the front end. So in this case, we have the worker ID. I'm gonna paste it here. Workflow, it's actually what's the workflow that you are calling here. In this case, I only have one workflow, main workflow. Depending on your case, you might have several ones here, but in my case, I'm just gonna use main. So in this case, it's going to be called main, and then the request is actually the text that we're going to be passing along the connection payload. So in this case, let's just what day is today. Let's just use a demo sentence for it to work. Now that we have set up the worker ID, the workflow, and the private key, which the private key you can get it from your account. If you go into developers, API keys, you can create new keys, then just copy it and place it on the setup of the API connection here. Private key, better, and you copy the API key. All right. With the API key and the three variables set up here, you click reinitialize, and we should see an example response here. Okay. You might get if you get any error at this point, make sure that you're using the correct API key, that you have used the correct values on the variables setup. Must be something like that. Here you can see all the stuff that MindStudio it's sending us back. So you just need to click save for now, and now it should be connected. So if we go to the editor and then launch the demo, we click preview. Now we should be able to actually start interacting with the basic agent that I have just shown you. Let's run it. Oh, I need to be logged in. Oh, sorry, I have already registered previously. All right, now we are logged in. It's not mandatory that you need all your users to be creating accounts before they can interact with the template. You can avoid that. You will need to make a couple of adjustments on how you are managing sessions and how you are grouping chats, but it's totally possible. Okay. So what color is the ocean? Let's run it right now. Here we can see that it's connecting with the agent, and this is the response. Super simple, super easy. That's how you set up a basic connection with the agent. That's what it was covered in the video that they uploaded, just with a couple of extra comments. Okay, that's the first part of this video. Cool. Now let's continue with the second part of the video, which will be the updating the template so that we can use a fairly more complex agent, which will require a file input so that we can ask questions to the file. So the modifications that we're going to do here is that we are going to create a new connection on the API connector. We're going to specify a new field for the file. We're going to modify Bubbles database so that we can save the file and pass the file along with the connection into MindStudio. And we're going to modify Bubbles interface so that we can have the file uploader as part of the input box that we have at the bottom here. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Instead of actually modifying my index page, I'm going to create a new page so that we can leave this as an example if we need so. Here at the top left side is where you see all your pages. Even though you have these mobile views, these are intended to be a completely different thing. So right now you should focus on the pages section. You also have these reusable elements. We're not gonna really focus on them at the moment, but just for you to know, reusable elements are components that you can use across different pages. Depending on your case, it might be way easier to just build one component and use it in several places. For now, we are just gonna keep it super simple and just gonna create a new page. I'm gonna call this page this page agent, and I'm gonna clone it from index page so that all the interface elements or the actions or the connections are exactly the same, but we can modify it without really touching what we have working now on the index page. Just click create, and that's gonna be it. Gonna take a couple of seconds, but we're gonna see it right now. Okay, so in the meantime, that it is loading, let's focus on actually how the connection should be working. I have this other tab where we have been working with the connection. So I'm gonna close first one and focus on new one. I have created this previously, but I'm going to start from scratch so that you can see how we can do it. Okay, so I'm going to create a new call, which this is going to be the connection for the agent that we're going to be passing along the file. So let's call it file agent chat. Cool. I'm gonna be using also an emoji here just to keep it separated and easy to find actually. Okay, it needs to be a post type of connection, post method. It's this one. All right. The URL that we're gonna be calling, it's gonna be the same that we have here. Actually, there's no need to change it. So you can copy from the first connection that you got, paste it here, and then we're gonna work on the body element. The body you can also copy what we have here, paste it over here, and we're gonna work on it. So I have a secondary agent. Let me show it here. This is the agent that I have built that it's answering question based on a PDF file. So at the very start, we have two variables, PDF URL and questions. We're going to be using these variables as as the elements that we are getting the text from, and that we are using the questions to actually generate the prompt and to send the answer back to the users, right? Important notice, the output behavior needs to be configured as display to user so that we can capture it on the result element on Bubble. All right, so what we need here is to actually modify the setup on Bubble so that we can pass these two elements, the PDF URL and the questions. So I'm gonna copy them, then get back to the Bubble settings, and I'm gonna change these variables names, right? We were using a request. In this case, it's gonna be PDF URL and questions. All right, great. If you have made it so far, congrats. And now it's where the fun part begins. We're gonna start updating the interface significantly so that we can make it more useful for users, okay? So what we're gonna do first is that on the interface here, we're gonna add a file upload button so that they can attach a file alongside the question that they are asking, right? Important notice here as well on Bubble. How Bubble works is that you have two different environments. You have your test environment, which is what we are seeing here, and you have your live environment. So any change that you do on the editor, it'll be immediately reflected on the preview page that you have here. So that's why we have this black banner asking you to reload, because we have been making some changes on the agent connections and all that stuff. So anytime that you're doing changes on the editor, you will need to refresh any of your test pages that you have here. But once you deploy this to your live version, you can continue making changes on the dev version without really causing any issues on for your final users on your live version, right? So you can have both elements. Important notice here, how you can know if you're on the test version or the live version. It's on the URL. Here you have this version test. On the live version, you won't have this, just the URL that you set up for your project. That's going to be a completely different video, how to customize the settings of your project, like adding the domain for your project, setting up socials, meta tags, and all that stuff. For now, let's focus on modifying the URL. So we're gonna start by creating the file of loader. So here we can see that as we are clicking on elements, we can mark on the element tree what we are seeing. In this case, we need to get to the input field that we are using, because we want to place the file the file of loader at the side of it. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna show these hidden elements. You can see like the little sleepy eyes here. And in this case, we have the input. I'm gonna drag around the menu here. This context menu, it's appearing anytime that you click any element. And we have two icons, this send icon and the blocked one. Why we have two? Well, the template actually contemplates that meanwhile the agent is loading, you cannot resend the call to the agent. So even though that on the actual preview, you see that the icon doesn't change. What we are doing is that we are showing or hiding the icon send or the icon blocked, depending on the status of the call. If it's loading, we hide the send, we show the blocked one. Okay, so for now, let's just add the file uploader. Bubble has a native file uploader component that we can use. You just click the component, you just come into the editor and just draw where you would like your component to be placed. As you can see, the parent group, which is the whole input field with the gray background has turned red on the borders because we are placing it inside that element. Depending on how you place it, it might be that it's on the wrong order. I mean, we want it to be between the text input and the send button, but let's say that for any reason, it's actually on any other um, section here. You can modify the order of the elements here on the layout. You have these controls, so you can click previews, and you're going to be switching around the position of the element within the other components within the same group. You can see that all of this, the multi-line input, the file uploader, and the two icons are part of the input component. All right. So we're gonna customize a little bit this file of uploader because it's like very very ugly here. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna make it a little bit bigger. We can control that on the layout. Let's say let's make it 50 pixels by 50 pixels. We're gonna change the radius of it. Gonna make them a little bit more rounded, from 5 pixels. And instead of actually having the text click to upload a file, I'm gonna use an emoji. You can really use whatever you want here. You can spend a little bit more time customizing the look and feel of all the elements, but for now, let's keep it simple. So the placeholder text, we're gonna delete it and just place the emoji. You can see it here. Okay, let's get back to the preview and see how it looks. Important. I will click the preview. It's easier this way actually, just to make sure that we're going to be loading the correct version of it. Okay, so we have the file input here. All right. So we have previously finished the connection with the new agent. We have the file uploader here. So the next step is to actually modify the flow and modify to what agent we are connecting with, right? Remember that we have copied all this page from the index page. So right now, when we click the send icon, we're actually talking to the first agent connection that it doesn't require a PDF file, right? So let's start modifying that. Let's click on the file, on the icon send, sorry. This is the element that gets clicked to actually send the message. So let's select it, and then you can see here that you have this edit workflows button. Just click it. And here we are taken to the workflow tab, and you can see all the elements. And you saw that the very few when the section was loaded, there was like a red flash around this, and this is because um, so let's start from the basics here. Each square that you see here, it's one action that it's being done on the interface. There are quite some here, depending on which icon you click. We are covering here also the account creation or the login, so that's why we have a couple of them. So these three blue ones that you see here are the ones related to sending the message to the agents. Why we have three? Well, because there are two different conditions: if it's the first chat that you're creating, or if it's a continuation of a chat that already exists. So that's like the first difference. As you can see, this one is to create a chat from scratch. So this is going to be run first time that users gets to the pages, and these two ones are related to existing chats. Now, what about existing chats? Why we have two? Well, it depends because as you saw, there were two different icons for sending and for the blocked one if the agent is still loading. So as you can see here, we have this condition here only when. And we have this loading is yes. So this is going to fire whenever we are still waiting for the agent to get back to us. And this other one where loading it's no, this is going to fire whenever we are not waiting for anything and we can actually connect to the agent, right? So what where we are going to focus right now, it's on the creating of a new chat and the continuation of a chat. So as you can see on both of them, we have one step, which is either create a chat or send a message. These are custom workflows that we can run from within. So these blue squares are triggered whenever we click on the element, but these ones are calling if we click, if we right click here and click edit workflow, you will see that we will be taken to this one. These green ones are custom workflows that are called from the blue ones. So in this send message, what we're going to do is create a new message. This is performing a database action here on Bubble. We are creating an entry on the message table, and we are saving these values. And then we are scheduling a API workflow. This API workflow, um, it can be confusing, but it's not the same as the API connection that we have been building on the plugins. It's actually related to the backend workflows that are happening here on Bubble that we talked about them before. So even though they are both referring to APIs, it's totally different. With the custom API workflows, we are calling through API, but the workflows being hosted on Bubble's servers and the API connector, we are actually making API calls to external services such as MindStudio. All right. Okay, so we were here on the sent message. So we created a message. We reset the relevant inputs to clean the input field, and we were calling this API backend workflow. So we were and on this backend API workflow, it's where we are actually connecting to MindStudio. So we are passing these variables to the backend workflow, the chat, the content of the input, the user. I mean, who is the loading user that it's sending all this stuff, the previous messages that are part of the chat, and the scheduled date, because you can schedule when you want the call to be triggered. In this case, it's current date time because we want to happen it right now. So one more time, if we click edit workflow, we're gonna go into the backend workflows, and we're gonna be shown the workflow that we were calling on the other side. So as you can see here, we are calling the first connection that we set up on MindStudio, the one with the green check mark. And what we're doing here is just creating making changes to a chat. So chat, it's one of the tables that are set up on the database as part of the template. You don't need to really worry about it. We run the connection with MindStudio, then we save the message here on the messages table on Bubble, and then we also update the statistics of the chat, the total costs, the number of messages, and all that stuff for the performance tab that we have on the front end. So what we need to do here, right? We have the file uploader on the front end. We have the second MindStudio connection for the PDF agent. So what we need to do here is actually modify this backend workflow so that we are calling the PDF agent instead of the basic default agent, and we also need to pass along the PDF the PDF file that we're capturing on the front end so that we can reference that as part of the step. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna create a new step here. I'm gonna type MindStudio and I'm gonna reference the chat one. You remember that on the chat one, we have the question and the document. If we go back to the plugins and we scroll here, actually, I believe that I didn't finish initializing this one. Oh, important notice here. Sorry, I totally missed this when we were creating these ones. Whenever you create a new connection on the API connector, there's a very important and critical thing here, which is this use as. By default, it's going to be data, but you need to change it to action. The difference between the difference between action and data, it's that action connections, you are going to be able to use them on workflows, and data connections, you are going to be able to use them as part of the interface. So this is a little bit more technical on how Bubble works, but basically, Bubble gives you the ability to not to being able to connect to different endpoints without really needing to touch and create a lot of workflows. As you have seen for now, any click, we need to create a workflow for it, and any workflow has a sequence of steps. So that's like a lot of work just to get things to show like any of these ones, right? We have one step and it triggers another step and all that. So whenever you are setting connection up as data, you can bypass all the workflows and just show that on the interface. But for our example right now, we need it to be action. So important thing to remember: all the connections for agents that you're going to be creating, you need to change it and set them up as actions. After that change, you can reinitialize it. You can leave the exact same values here, and cool. The same answer, so that's fine. And it's the one with the file emoji here. So let's get back to the backend workflows. We were updating this one of create new message. Here on the step 3, it's where we were actually configuring it. I'm gonna actually delete it and create a new one. Now you'll see that we will have 3 options here. By changing the connection from data to action, we can actually interact with it from a workflow now that it is an action, and we can see here that it's the one with the emoji. So it's basically the same thing, but the name of the variables are changed, and they are aligned with the current agent that we have on MindStudio. So how we're gonna do this? So we need the question and we need the PDF URL. So how we're going to pass the PDF file URL up until the backend workflows, then we need to start here on the actual API workflow configuration. We're going to create a new parameter. We're going to call it PDF URL. It's going to be of type text, actually. And here on step 3, we're gonna replace that for the parameter that we have set up as part of the workflow data sources, PDF URL, and that's it. That's the URL that we're gonna configure on the actual clicking of the element. Now, for the question, it's going to be the same content that we have on the input field, right? So we have that set up here, actually, on the arbitrary text here. You can see that we are passing the history of chats and the new request, the content of the input. So we can keep this logic. So what we can do here is that we can leave it like this, do a right click, then copy expression, which will copy all the logic inside our arbitrary text block, and we can get back to step 3, and actually we can paste the expression. So it'll be exactly the same. Now that we have finished it, we need to we will end up deleting step 2, right? Because we're not going to be calling this agent. We're going to be calling the PDF one, but that'll mean that we will also modify any of the subsequent steps that are making reference to the current step 2. So if we come here you can actually see that we are referencing step 2. This is how we are chaining the values that we are getting from different steps and how we are working with them within Bubble's database. So we are creating a new message and we are saving the stuff that we get from the step 2. In this case, we're going to need it to change it to the result of step 3. And what we're going to be looking for is the results. All right, then we also need to change the costs and the tokens because as you can see, they are making reference to step 2. So one more time, step 3. In this case, it's going to be thread posts, first item, billing events, first item, and it's going to be num units. I just checked that previously, so that I know what should be like the correct configuration to it. But if you have more time, you can actually start clicking around on the initial configuration and you can start seeing like all the options that you have here. It's going to be the same for cost and tokens for the moment. So I can copy the expression. I can come here one more time, right click, I can clear the expression, and I can one more time paste the expression so that we can have the same stuff going on here. So far so good. And then on step 5, let's see. We need to also make some updates. Number of messages and total cost. Here you can see that we are doing a an updating logic where we are getting the total cost of the current chat and we are adding the cost of the new connection that we have run as part of this workflow. So what we are going to do here is that one more time, we're going to change from result of step 2 to step 3. It's going to be thread post, first item, billing events, first item, and num units. And it's going to be the same one for total tokens. In this case, we are not going to be copy and pasting the expression because as you can see, it's slightly different. In this case, we are using this chat's total cost, and in this case, we are using the total tokens. So it's not exactly the same. But apart from that, it's going to be also the same. Post thread post, sorry, first item, billing events, first item, and then the num units, right? So now that we have modified these two ones, we can actually go back to the step 2 and delete it. We're just gonna check it here, and it looks fine. Looks fine. So okay, we are set up in this. So important thing is that we have created a new variable here as part of the backend workflow parameter list, and we need to be passing the PDF URL to it. So we're going to get back to the editor. Okay, so it is hidden by default, so we need to show it one more time. Let's get inside here and we can see the options. Okay, I'm gonna make visible the icon send, click it, and then go to the edit workflows. And we have the three blue squares here. In this case, we're gonna be calling create chat. Actually, if we go back to the backend workflows, we were actually modifying the create new message. Right, so we need to make sure that we're calling that one. So let's get back to the workflows. Let's create new message. Let's double click and click edit workflow. We can see that it's making reference to these two green ones. So we need to find the one where we are creating a new chat, creating a new message. This one. So as you can see here, we have we are using the same action either on create chat and send message. these two ones. And in both places, we are actually missing, if we click the backend workflow, we are actually missing the PDF URLs, right? So we're gonna click insert dynamic data. Since we have created the input field here on the front end, we should be able to access it. In this case, it's, oh, sorry, it's the file uploader. My bad here. File uploader, the value, and we need to pass the URL, only the URL. So here we can put the URL. And apart from that, it's going to be the same thing. Another modification that we could do is that actually we can save the PDF file as part of the message, right? Since we would like to be able to show them this PDF file in the future, if they like click on the message or something like that, we can link the text that they have sent on the message with the actual PDF file that they uploaded, right? So in this case, we're gonna set a new field. In this case, I have created previously the file, the file field on the database. Most likely you won't see it here. So we're gonna go quickly into the database, the data types. Here on the message, we have the file, but I'm gonna create a new one. Let's just call it document. And we're gonna be saving the uploaded PDF here. Document on file type, you can leave it as file. Click create, and that's it. If we go back to the workflows, you can see here that on the create new message, we still have the drop down here, but now we have the document one. We can use either document or file in my case, right? The document, so the document will be the file input, the file uploader value. We are passing the file URL into the backend workflow, and then we are restoring some of the parameters here with this last step. We were passing the file URL in two different places when we are creating a chat and we are sending a chat. So we will need to also configure it here, since we are calling the same backend workflow from two different custom workflows here on the front end. So one more time here, it's going to be file uploader value URL. So far so good. We are sending all the stuff. So I believe that for now we can test it out. So we're gonna click the preview one more time. We're gonna be taken to the preview page. It's gonna be loading. We have the file uploader. So let's click here. I'm gonna upload like a demo thing that I have. Actually, here it's this one. And let's say what's the currency being charged. Okay, so if we did everything right, we should be able to connect now. It's loading for now. It can take some time since we are parsing the PDF. So it's taking some time actually. Let's pause it for a minute and come back once it's loaded. Right, so the response has come through. This is what the agent returned. So far so good. Um, That's it. So far, you should be able to be sending PDF files along your text prompt, and be calling your agents with any number of files. You can actually go back into the settings here on the API connector, customize it as you need, add as many variables as you need, or change the structure here, and you can customize the UI interface on Bubble to show any other element, any other type of input field. You can you can set up images of uploader files. Um, you can modify it so that your users can see different types of files, different types of previews, put any other conditional or action. I know that so far it seems that it's like a lot of work just to have a basic action ready, but another thing that you need to take into consideration is that if you do a careful planning of your transitioning strategy, a lot of the actions that we have done right now, they can be reused across several of your agent connections. So even though the very first connections might be a very steep effort to have them ready, as you continue adding more agents to it, it's going to be way easier, way faster, and you can start reutilizing a lot of the components here. And also you have a lot of other possibilities within Bubble that you can actually do. So that's everything for it. Now we will do a secondary video on how you can actually set up the project options on your Bubble template, so that you can change, for instance, the icon on the browser, how you can change the URL that your users are seeing, or how to pass dynamic fields from outside Bubble. So let's say that you really need to embed what we are currently doing with Bubble into another website, and you need to pass some sort of parameter from outside of Bubble, and you want to be able to forward that value into the agent connections, right? So far, if you have any questions, feel free to reach back to us. And we're going to be creating a couple of more videos to show how you can further customize your template. Cool. Have a nice day.